Welcome to today's class of analog integrated circuit design. We were discussing filters, and in the last class we looked at second order filters. There we arrived at the general transfer function of a second order filter, and we saw the transfer function. So we started with the L and C of this form, where L and C are connected in series, and there we saw that the system will give you a that will be a marginally stable system. But later, by including the inductance in series, we saw that uh, that can be stable with the poles on left half of S plane, but again depends on the Q factor. So that was the discussion we made. So in today's class, we will continue the discussion, and we will specifically look at the implementation, like how we will implement second order filters. Both today we will discuss about passive, and then we will go for active implementation. So before that, one more thing I just want to touch here, that is again with the LC, because this will be useful when we again start our oscillator discussion in unit 4. So I'll quickly look at the RLC realization part. So what we'll do here is, yeah, I'll just put the heading as RLC realization. So there are standard forms of second order filters, both passive and active. We'll come to that standard forms. Before that, we'll just see what happens or how a parallel LC combination work, right? So we'll start with RLC realization. So what we will see now is so we know that for any from the first order discussion, if you have a second order transfer function, we can implement that with the help of resistors, capacitors, and inductors, right? So if I do realization of filters using these components RLC, we call it as passive, right? This is what we have seen in the first order filter discussion. The same thing we will continue here. But before we proceed to that, we'll just consider a parallel LC combination. Parallel LC combination. We often call it as a tank. Parallel LC combination is often called as a tank. So if you look at the circuit, how it will be, an L and C connected in parallel. So this is an L and this is a C. These two are connected in parallel, right? Now, what I'm asking, or what I want you guys to do is, can you find the impedance seen from this side? So if there is L and C in parallel, how can you write the input impedance of this? Input impedance is nothing but the impedance seen from the input side. Can I get some response in the chat? What will be the impedance seen at the input side? Yes, it is the parallel combination of inductance, the reactance of inductance and capacitance. So if you look at, or if you write the impedance at the input side, I can write Z in as S into L1, which is the reactance of the inductor, which is in parallel with 1 by S into C1. So if I write this, or if I work out on this parallel combination, I can write this as S into L1 divided by 1 plus S square into L1 C1. I hope you will get this if you rearrange the other expression above. So now if we look at the expression, okay, so now from the expression, or from the impedance, from the input impedance, if I look at the poles of this, so input impedance, again it is a function of S. So how will you write input impedance? Input impedance is basically the input voltage divided by the current. So the current at the input terminal by the voltage. This is the input impedance. So this can also be viewed as a transfer function measured at the input side. So if I look at the poles and zeros of this transfer function, so this is sigma and j omega. Can you tell me how many poles are there and how many zeros are there, and what are their locations? So how many zeros are there? Can I get response in the chat? There is 1 0, and 0 is in the, yeah, how will you get the 0? That is from the numerator. So there is 1 0, and the value, the location of the 0 is actually at origin. So I'm just marking it with a 0 in the pole 0 plot. And you have how many poles you have? Yeah, there are two poles. Maybe you are responding. You guys are responding. The screen which I'm seeing, the next maybe I'm getting a delayed response. That is why I'm not able to communicate in the right time. Yeah, so there are you can see there are two poles from this. If you look at the denominator, you will get to know that. So I can write S is equal to plus or minus. Yeah, not. We'll write it as poles. From the denominator, I can say the poles are at plus or minus j divided by root of L1 C1. So that means you have one pole here whose value is plus j divided by root of L1 C1, and you have another pole here whose value is minus j divided by root of L1 C1. Right. So now, so the meaning here is you have 1 0 at the origin. There is 1 0 at origin, and there are two poles at, and the poles are two poles at plus or minus j divided by root of L1 C1, right? So this is the location of poles and zeros, and from this we can clearly see that your system, or if you have an LC combination of this type, this will definitely leads to this will give oscillations, right? So I just want to stress on this point. So whenever you have an L and C connected in parallel, the location of poles are at there are two imaginary poles. So what can you talk about the stability of this system? What can you comment on the stability of the system? Whether the system is stable, or from our previous discussion, we told that there are three. Yeah, the system is marginally stable. So depending on the pole location, I can say that the system is marginally stable. And since it is marginally stable, or if it is, since it is not stable, it is a marginally stable system, this is actually utilized in the design of oscillators. So that we'll see when we start oscillators. So if you have an L and C LC circuit in parallel, definitely that will give you marginally stable, or you'll get actually oscillation. So marginally stable means your time domain response will be looking like this, right? This is the response, but that is ideal. So if you want to do a study on this, let me just continue this. So from the input impedance expression, now if I'm asking you to find the magnitude of this impedance by replacing S as j omega. So can you tell me what is the magnitude of the input impedance here? So if I want to know the magnitude, I'll just substitute S as j omega and take only I'll just consider only the real part of that. So the magnitude of this will be from the transfer function, I can write it as omega into L1 divided by root of 1 minus L1 C1 omega square. How will you get this? You have the equation here. From this you can find the magnitude of this transfer function, and if you write the magnitude, you will get this expression, right? So now by looking at the magnitude, can you plot the response of this? Can you plot how this will omega square? So what I want you guys to do is, when your frequency varies, when this frequency varies, how this how the input impedance of this will vary as a function of frequency. Can you look at the magnitude of the transfer function, the magnitude of the impedance, and can you tell me what will be the variation of this input impedance with respect to omega? So how will you check that you have the expression for magnitude? You can get it by directly substituting omega equal to 0 in this to get the low frequency values, omega equal to infinity in this to get the high frequency values, and typically we will substitute value of omega the oscillation frequency, which is as per this, it is happening at, yeah, it should be at 1 by root of L1 C1, because you have two components connected in parallel. So you can substitute 1 at 1 by root L1 C1. So by substituting these three, you should get actually values for omega, values for the magnitude of the impedance. Denominator omega terms squared. Yes, it is root of 1 minus L1 C1 omega square. Yes, it is squared only. Are you asking with the previous one? It is squared only, no? Anushka, is that clear? Hello. Hello, Anushka. Is it clarified? Hello. It should be square of LCW. No, right? It is L1 C1 omega square. Or will you get in a different way when you write the magnitude? I don't think this is correct really. You can check the magnitude again. Yeah, all right, yes. Yeah, so now when you substitute omega equal to 0 in this, naturally we know that the input impedance of this, the magnitude of impedance at omega equal to 0 is actually 0. Now, what is the magnitude of impedance when your omega equal to infinity? When your omega equal to infinity, yeah, that also, because you have a denominator term, so that also will be close to 0. And then when you look at the frequency, where we call it as omega equal to 1 by root L1 C1 is a specific frequency, you can see that the magnitude of this transfer function. So if you substitute omega equal to 1 by root L1 C1, this will actually go to, the magnitude of this transfer function will actually go to infinity, right? So this is what you can observe. So if I transfer this, or if I translate this into this graph where you plotted the magnitude of input impedance of the transfer function with respect to frequency, I can say that it will start at 0. It will start at 0, and then it will keep on increasing, and at, say, somewhere around, not somewhere around, at exactly at 1 by root L1 C1, you can see that at this specific frequency, the input impedance will be infinity, and then later after that frequency, it will it will reduce, start reducing from infinity, and it will, when your omega equal to infinity, your input impedance will again come down to 0. This is what you can observe, and this is how you will look at the, you can see that this will be the frequency response of this, right? So what do you think, like intuitively, how, what you can comment on the impedance of the tank, why it is going to 0 at omega equal to 0 and infinity? What do you think? Why this magnitude is equal to 0 at omega equal to 0 and omega equal to infinity? What do you think? By looking at the circuit diagram, you have an inductance and a capacitance in parallel. So what will be the impedance, or what will be at omega equal to 0, how an inductor react at omega equal to 0? So at omega, yes, at omega equal to 0, your inductance will actually act as a short, and at omega equal to infinity, you have a capacitor, and the capacitor will actually act as a short, right? So as a result of that, both at omega equal to 0 and omega equal to infinity, you will actually see an impedance of 0. But at omega equal to 1 by root LC, that we call that frequency as resonant frequency, at that particular frequency, your impedance will actually go to infinity. Now, we will come back to this point sometime later when we start oscillators. I have just put it here as in for the discussion of oscillators later. So, it is at this specific frequency actually you will have oscillations. But again, you know that whatever I have drawn here as an LC parallel, it is an ideal situation because you will have an associated parasitic resistance with this. And say if you consider that there is a this is your L and C, and the associated parasitic resistance, if I am connecting in parallel, again you can write the impedance of this. It will be the previous impedance in parallel with this new resistance R1 value, and that can result in, or if you analyze that, that can result in the form of an expression as what we discussed before in the second order, the general function. Again, that depends on the Q factor. You can actually have a like poles on the left half of the S plane, and later that can be actually that can even move to right half of the S plane depending on the Q value, as we discussed here. So we have included a series resistance, the loss of the inductance as series element, and then we discussed further. In a similar way, you can discuss this also. But the very aim of discussing about this LC tank is to come back. We'll take up this discussion for the oscillators a little later. All right. So I hope there are no questions. If you have questions, you can please post it here in the chat. Now, from the pole locations, one thing what we can say is you can expect marginally the system is marginally stable, and for that reason you can actually expect oscillations, sustained oscillations. All right, so if you have questions, you can post it. I'll just continue. So the next what we will do is we'll make because for the first order passive filter we had a generic structure. Similarly, we will have let us have a generic study on second order filters with a voltage divider. Using some general impedances. So this will help us to have a good hold on especially active filters. How I can use impedances to get different responses of like low pass, high pass, band pass, or band reject. So we'll start with the generic form as same as the first order passive filter. There we had one inductance in series and one resistance in series and one in parallel. So this we call as ZS and this we call as ZP. So this is the input voltage V in, and this is the output voltage V out, right? Now, so if I write this as generic impedance as ZS and ZP, how will you write the transfer function, or how will you write the gain of this V out by V in? We'll often call it as transfer function because all these are functions of frequency. So what is the transfer function of this? If you have a generic impedance of this form, it's a simple voltage divider. Can I get any response here in the chat? Are you guys responding? I don't know. Yeah. Divided by ZP plus ZS. Yes, this is the transfer function of this. Now what we will see is directly from this, and later we will place certain elements to generate ZS and ZP little later, right? So now the first question, to have a low pass filter response. So we know that what is a low pass filter response? Low pass filter response is you will have a transfer function here, and when your frequency at omega equal to infinity, or when your frequency is very high, at high frequency, you should actually get a 0, or the transfer function should be 0. If that is the case, can you tell me what is the condition here, or like what should be the value of Zp and Zs if you want to have a low pass filter response? What do you think? So the system transfer function is this. It is Zp by Zp plus Zs. And now for a low pass filter, what you want is at high frequency, your transfer function should be 0, right? So at high frequency, I need transfer function should be equal to 0. That means if your Zp equal to 0 at high frequency, that is fine, because if your Zp equal to 0 at high frequency, your transfer function will be equal to 0. Or if your Zs equal to infinity, if your Zs equal to infinity also can lead to a 0 transfer, the 0 value from the transfer function, right? So either this, or even both conditions. So I'll just write and, or. Both are fine. Both coming together is also fine, because what we ultimately want is actually a 0, or your transfer function should be equal to 0 at high frequency. Right. Is this clear what I am trying to say? Can I get your response in the chat? Is this clear? All right. Yeah. So at high frequency, your Zp should be equal to 0, and or Zs should be equal to infinity. Then you will get a low pass filter response. Now, can you tell me how can you get a high pass filter response? What should be the values of Zp, or what are the conditions you can say? High pass means something like this. And what we are expecting is at high frequency, sorry, not at high frequency, it is at low frequency. At low frequency, it should be 0. So I can use the same condition, but the same thing at the low frequency, right? So at low frequency, your Zp should be equal to 0. Again, I'll write and, or Zs should be equal to infinity. This is the condition. The same condition at low pass, when it comes at low frequency, it becomes a high pass filter, right? Now, how about a band pass filter? Band pass filter. We know that the response what we are expecting from a band pass filter of something of this kind. That means if you want to get a band pass filter response, there should be, then the Zp value should be equal to 0 at low frequency, right? And Zp value should be equal to 0 at high frequency also, right? So the condition what I need here is at low and high frequency, your Zp should be equal to 0. Now what about Zs? Yeah, so I'll just mention it here. We'll see Zs should be equal to constants. The Zs value should not change, or if the Zs value is not changing, also this should be fine. So these are the three responses we can directly get from this generic impedance. For band pass filter, we need to do a little tweaking that I'll show how to do it, right? So are there any questions on this? So we have the general impedance based on a voltage divider, what we have seen for the first order filters. But the same thing, but in first order filters, we have just used a resistor and a capacitor, or we interchanged it. And now specifically at low and the same, the transfer function should give you a 0 for a low pass filter at high frequency. Again, the transfer function should be equal to 0 at low frequency for a high pass filter, and at 0 both at low and high frequency for a band pass filter. So maybe you will get more clarity when we start with examples. So let me start with the low pass filter first. With the low pass filter. So for low pass filter, the conditions what we have written is Zp equal to 0 and Zs equal to infinity at high frequency. These are the conditions we have written, right? Now, if I want to have a 0, if you want to have Zp equal to 0 and Zs equal to infinity at high frequency, what combinations I can take, or what like how I can actually design, or how I can get a structure for a filter. So can I get your response in the chat? Are you guys following me? Can I get a quick response? All right. Okay. Thank you, Akash. Okay. Thank you, Amitesh. Yeah. All right. So, yeah. So what I need is Zp should be equal to 0 and Zs should be equal to infinity at high frequency. For that, let me start with a very simple structure. So in place of Zp, I have an inductance, and in place of all right, 1 second. Sorry, this is Zs, right? Like literally I have written, yeah, series impedance. And now here in place of Zp, I'm using two components here. One is a capacitor resistance and another one is a capacitor. So this is V in and this is V out. Right. So straight away I have written it is a low pass filter. So let us verify whether what we discussed just now is valid in this case. So let me call this as L1, this as R1, this as C1. Right. So let me write what is Zs here. What is Zs? Zs is S into L1, and whether the condition is satisfied when you put S equal to infinity, your Zs is equal to, sorry, when you put S is equal to, yeah, so S is equal to infinity, Zs is equal to infinity. Right. Now similarly, what is Zp? Zp is the parallel combination of R and C. So it is R1 parallel to 1 by S C1. And in this case, if you put S is equal to infinity, what you will have is your Zp will be equal to 0, because at high frequency, at when your omega equal to infinity, capacitor will act as a short. If capacitor is a short, your output also will be shorted and output will be equal to 0. So with this, I can say that definitely this will actually behave as a low pass filter. And in that case, you can write the transfer function V out by V in. Can you quickly write what is the transfer function of this filter with R1, C1 and L1? Can you quickly find? So this is the component of series impedance, and these two are the components for the parallel impedance. Can one of you tell me what is the transfer function for this? You have to use the same formula. The transfer function is this, Zp divided by Zp plus Zs. You may need to just rearrange it. I'll write the final form here, or I'll just write Zp divided by Zp plus Zs. And if I write it properly, Zp is R1 parallel to 1 by SC1 divided by R1 parallel to 1 by SC1 plus S into L1, which can be further you can rearrange and you will get in this form. It is R1 divided by R1 plus SL1 plus S square R1 L1 and C1. This is the transfer function of this low pass filter. Right. So since we have verified that the Zs value and Zp values are infinity and 0 respectively at high frequency, you can say that this is a low pass filter. Now you will have a question like, can I have any combination of this and get, if you are getting a similar response, is that fine? Yes, it is fine. But definitely we will do a study based on which is the best, depending on how much roll-off rate you will get for each filter. But this is one standard form of having a low pass filter, right? So, so with this structure, or when you have this structure in mind, can you tell me how will you how can you quickly get a high pass filter because in high pass filter we know that the condition is the same, but that should happen actually at low frequency. So what change you should Amitesh, it is roll of rate. Roll of rate is nothing but I was talking about the transition band in the other class, right? The transition band, whenever you have a pole, you have a transition, the roll of rate will be minus 20 dB per decade. So similarly, depending on the number of poles you will have, if it's a second order filter, you will have minus 40 dB per decade. So when you come up with a filter structure, we will also see how much roll off you are getting with that specific structure, depending on the location of the poles. That is what I meant. Is it clear?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right. Yeah. All right. Now, can you tell me what small change I can make on this circuit so that you will get high pass filter response? Exchange inductor and capacitor for high pass. Yes, Akash, that is right. So that is one simple thing what you can do. So in order to have a high pass filter, if you want to have a high pass filter, you can just swap the components. So you can interchange L1 and C1 of the previous circuit, and if I do that, the circuit, yeah, so this is L1 and C1. So when I exchange, I have capacitor here, and then you'll have resistance here, and then you will have an inductance here. This will be the structure. So this is V in and this is V out, right? So again, we can quickly verify because what is Zs in this case? Zs is equal to 1 by Sc. What is Zp? It is Sl parallel to R, right? Now at S is, when S is equal to 0, your Zs is equal to infinity. Yeah, Zs is equal to infinity. And now when your S is equal to 0, your Zp is equal to 0. All right. So the condition remains same. Your Zp equal to 0 and Zs is equal to infinity. But that should happen at Zp equal to 0 and Zs equal to infinity at low frequency. Whether that is happening? Yes, it will happen. Right. So we know that at low frequency, the capacitor will act as an open circuit, and so you cannot expect any output from the input side. At the same time, your inductance at low frequency is acting as a short. That means your output will be definitely equal to 0. So that means the condition is satisfied. And so if I'm asking you to write the transfer function of this, you can write it as V out of S by V in of S, and same way if you write Zp divided by Zp plus Zs, you will get it as 1 by, they made a mistake here, Zp, no. So R1 parallel SL1 divided by R1 parallel SL1 plus 1 by SC1, which can be further rearranged in the form of S square L1 C1 R1. You can check this, divided by R1 plus S into L1 plus S square into R1 C1 L1 C1, right? So this is the transfer function. Yeah. So now if you look at the previous case, you have 2 poles, but in this case you will see that there are for this high pass filter there are 2 zeros at origin, right? There are 2 zeros at origin, and there are some implication when you have 2 zeros at the origin, but definitely it will give you a high pass filter response, right? Now, so what we have done, we started with this low pass filter. We had an inductance, then we interchanged the inductance and capacitance. Now, can you tell me what rearrangement I should do, or with the same setup, how can you get a band pass filter response? The condition is written before for a band pass filter. What was the condition? For a band pass filter, what we wrote is Zp should be equal to 0 at low and high frequency, and Zs should be equal to constant. That is what we write. Right. So what do you think? What rearrangement you can do if you want to get a band pass filter? Any thoughts for a band pass filter? Yeah, as per the condition, you can say that, see, so the cascade, low pass and high pass, all right. So when you cascade, yeah, so when you cascade a low pass and high pass, definitely we can we can definitely get for a band pass filter, but definitely it will actually increase, or there will be the poles and zeros, or all those things will be more. We can definitely do that. We can try to do that. But without going for cascading of those, yeah, I think Bhavya had the point. Yes. Yeah, so as per the discussion what we made, we know that for a bandpass filter at low frequency and high frequency, you should get a zero value, right? So if you want to get a zero value, what you can do is at low and high frequency, see, this is what I have. So this is Zs, this is Zp, where this is V in and here it is V out. Now what I need, both at low and high frequency, Zp should be equal to 0. So at low frequency, how I can make Zp equal to 0? At low frequency, if you want to make Zp equal to 0, Avinash, I saw your response. R as Zs and L and C. Yes, that is right. So if you want to make Zp equal to 0 at low frequency, there should be an inductance in Zp. The similar way, if you want to make Zp equal to 0 at high frequency, you should have a capacitance. So what we will do, for Zp, I will have this inductance and capacitance in parallel. So this will be my Zp. And irrespective of this, whether you have whether you have the inductor acting as a short at low frequency or capacitor acting as a short at high frequency, your output will be definitely equal to 0, and you will have a constant value for your Zs, which will not actually affect this, because anyway your output will be shorted to 0 at low and high frequency. So your Zs can be a resistance value. So with that, we can say that if you have a structure of this form, where you have a series resistance, and when you have these two elements here in parallel, this can definitely give you a band pass filter. So this is V in and this is V out. So this is L1, C1, and this is R1. Right. So I hope this is clear. So what you can do is, we can try writing the transfer function of this V out divided by V in. So it is Zp divided by Zp plus Zs. So S into L1 parallel with 1 by S into C1 divided by R1 plus same value. And if you do this, what you will get is S into L1 divided by L1 C1 R1 S square plus L1S plus R1. You can check this. All right. So this will be a band pass filter. All right. Yeah. So what we will do is we will wind up here. If you have questions, I'll take your questions. And in next class, we'll start with your active filters. And I'll also give you hints of how to do the simulation of filters in LT Spice. Thank you.